Reverend Moon constructed the main frame of Heaven's Word before the liberation. His preparation to soar through the sky was complete. However, because of his liberation activities, he was captured by the Japanese police. His bones were crushed, his flesh torn as he was tortured brutally. In 1946 and 1948, because of local Christian churches' slanders and the North Korean Communist regime's religious persecution, Reverend Moon was arrested twice and dragged to Daedong Security Office, being charged as being a spy from South Korea. Reverend Moon endures more gruesome torture. Even through his suffering and anguish, Reverend Moon endures the torture by lamenting for God all the pain he had to go through. After 2.5 months of deadly torture, he was sent to a forced labor camp called Hungnam Fertilizer Factory, this time charged with disrupting the peace and order of society. It was backbreaking labor, starting at 4:30 in the morning to fill 1,300 bags of fertilizer in one day. The camp was a place of no return. Even in such a hellish environment, Reverend Moon shared his food with others and took care of his inmates, which gave him the title Prison Saint.
July 4th, 1955. Reverend Moon was incarcerated on the charges of evading the military draft and destroying families. Overflowing with love for humanity, he did not blame or hate anyone. He was released as innocent 3 months later. However, the rumors made up at this time are still being used by Christians as though they were facts. God's providence was harmed, and Reverend Moon took the most critical damage, but he did not make any excuses. Truth prevails in the end. As to stand as a proof to this statement, the church continued to expand greatly.
However, pain and suffering found true parents again in America. Worried about the fast-growing influence of the church, racists and communist sympathizers joined in force to persecute Reverend Moon. They came up with the tax issue. Funds for witnessing work were not taxed in America, which was a Christian nation. However, America had closed its heart. Consequently, Reverend Moon was imprisoned in Danbury. After the Japanese rule, North Korea's communist regime, and South Korea's Christian regime, innocent Reverend Moon was imprisoned for the 6th time.
Ed Farmer, who was imprisoned with him, said,
"He truly loves people. I mean, he likes being with them. He never asked for special treatment. He mopped floors, he cleaned tables, and he helped the rest of us when he was finished. The man himself is the way he is all the time. He carries his religion with him, and everyone can feel it."
Reverend Moon's imprisonment served as the catalyst of a massive movement for religious freedom. The tribulation of Danbury united the American society, especially the Christians, who were divided into many different sects. President Barack Obama's mentor, Reverend Joseph Lowry, stood in the forefront of the religious community demanding religious freedom.
What I do understand is that I'm not secure until his rights are secure. And Farwell is not secure until Lowry is secure. None of us is secure until all of us are secure.
Reverend Moon washed dishes and cleaned his place in the day and read at night. At 3 in the morning, he woke up to pray for forgiveness for the situation and prayed for the end of the Cold War and for world peace. One month before his release, he directed prominent scholars to proclaim the end of communism in Switzerland.
This is a conversation between Sean Moon and his father Reverend Moon, in the book A Baldhead and a Strawberry.
The enemy. Abba, when you were in prison, what did you talk to the guards about? What do you mean? When they tortured you, was there anything you said to them? I told them that they needed to know Hananim. Upon hearing his response, I viscerally saw an image of a man swinging a bloodied baton, as if I was watching a movie. The camera caught this man's wicked grin, as if the was saying, "Yeah, I want you dead." I could hardly see his hand as it flashed towards the camera, once, twice, 3 times. I closed my eyes. All I heard was profanities and thuds, like meat being beaten and flattened. I winced at the imagined pain, and as I opened my eyes, I could even see dark ruddy droplets floating through the air. They fell with the inevitability of silenced horror, creating splatter art as they dissolved onto the wretched floor. When I reflect on what Hananim had to endure, I am overwhelmed by the humbling feeling that any of my difficulties or hindrances are quite paltry, at best. I do not know how he did it. I cannot fully grasp how he could manifest a response of forgiveness and compassion to those who bombarded him with malice, literally beating him to a pulp, tossing him out like discarded leftovers. It is remarkable what he has in his reservoir of life experience. I do sometimes get a glimpse of his scarred body when he receives acupressure, or electrostim. He does not like to get pity over them, you know. The shiny, repaired gashes and cuts glisten under the lights, as he walks from the den to his room. At moments like that, I almost find myself asking, what histories are behind those scars? Each of them have their unique story of horror. Each of them, a little novelette of torn flesh, but the impenetrable will. You know, I sometimes find myself saying, Abba is amazing when I see those scars. They, in some strange way, remind me of this sentiment. I cannot know what psychological processes Abba experienced. I cannot know the sheer emotion that accompanied each of the torture sessions. I cannot know what Abba was thinking or what words he repeated in his mind, but in some way, I got a clear glimpse into his soul. I saw his authenticity. I saw his genuine laugh and his baby-like eyes smiling. I saw his tenderness as he held my son in his arms, gently rocking him back and forth. I saw an effulgence of radiance in the way he extended his scarred hand with loving compassion towards the man who ordered his death, embracing him as a brother. This is an incredible message of forgiveness and almost literally divine compassion. To forgive and even love the man who wants to murder you is undoubtedly one of the most difficult religious and spiritual developments and growths to actualize. To ask for no explanation, apology, but to simply and deeply love, was what Hananim practiced. There is something immensely enriching when we can realize that even one's own enemy can be forgiven and even, dare I say, loved. There is a freedom and understanding that love is much more potent, powerful, and lasting than hatred and resentment. It got me asking, what kind of hate and resentment do I harbor?
이럴 수도 있나 하는 그 생각을 하고 꿈이었으면 좋지 이게 진짜 생신가 생각했는데 마치 그 누구도 많이 다치신 분이 없다는 그 얘기를 듣고 안심을 조금 했어요.
In order to create a resting place for all of you, in order to search for the bride and groom, for Adam's family and a world that manifests Adam's will, which was lost in the Garden of Eden, a commemorative day of blessing for our brave soldiers will take place. On True Parents' Wedding Day, you will receive the blessing and cleanse will be registered, allowing them to enter heaven. You will be able to see that day of liberation. I am talking about registration. Do you know what registration means? The nation will become different. The world will become different. By taking part in True Parents' Holy Wedding, you will be able to live under that banner of glory. This is a dream within a dream, a time more precious than sitting on a throne surrounded by music, more precious than a congratulatory song for the blessing. You need to be aware of this.